Continuing our discussion of lines, what if we want to find the equation of a line? This is actually one of the most common problems in mathematics. So, if I want to find the equation of a line with slope -4 and going through the point 1, -5, well, I'm going to need an equation to start with. And the very best way to find the equation of a line is using the point-slope formula of a line. You may notice that if you happen to divide by this part in parentheses, and it looks an awful lot like the equation for slope. What does this mean? It means you plug in the slope, you plug in the x and y coordinates of a point on the line, and you are immediately able to get an equation that you can simplify to the standard y = mx + b form. So in this particular example, it's y minus the y coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x coordinate of the point. You should always clean this up. So y + 5 is minus 4x + 4, or y is minus 4x minus 1. Gives me the equation of the line. Okay. More often, you are asked to find the equation of a line between 2 points. Okay. The first step is, of course, then to find the slope. So the slope between these 2 points is -3 minus 7 over 1 minus a -10. This is -10/11. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did up here using the point-slope formula of the line. Because I have 2 points, I can actually choose whichever one I like. I'm going to choose the one with smaller numbers. So it's y minus -3 is -10/11 x minus 1, or y + 3 is minus 10/11 x plus 10/11. And lastly, I just have to subtract 3. Y is minus 10/11 x, and here I have 10/11 minus 33/11, which is minus 23/11. Okay, and I have the equation of my line. Now, there are special kinds of lines. Specifically, what about horizontal and vertical lines? What would their equations look like? Well, if you think about a horizontal line, try and find its slope. So I pick any 2 points on the line. They're going to have the same y coordinate. So when I try to do slope, change in y divided by change in x, I'm going to get a 0 in the numerator. So the slope will always be 0 on a horizontal line. Okay? Meaning, if I want to find the horizontal line through the point -1, 7, okay, the slope is always 0. So it's y minus 7 is 0x plus 1. 0 times anything is 0, so this is just y = 7. Okay. Now let's look at a vertical line. I take any points on here, they have the same x coordinate. So when I try to find the slope, I get a 0 in the denominator, which we are not allowed to do. Meaning that vertical lines are not considered to have a slope. Sometimes people think of it as having an infinite slope, but you can't really plug infinity in to an equation. So we cannot use the point-slope formula of a line. Instead, we notice that since the horizontal line was y = the y coordinate, it makes sense that the vertical line is going to be x = the x coordinate. And it is the only kind of line with a radically different looking equation. Now there's one last type of line we're going to talk about, parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines are lines with the same slope. This guarantees that they will never run into each other. Perpendicular lines, or lines that meet at a 90-degree angle, are lines whose slopes multiply to -1. Now, that one seems a little bit weird. What it means is, if I have 2 lines, say one of them has slope 2/3 The perpendicular slope will be -3/2 because it's the reciprocal and adding a negative sign. We call it the negative reciprocal. These two slopes would produce perpendicular lines. So if I'm given a pair of lines and asked if they are parallel or perpendicular or neither, it is easiest to look at the slope, meaning I'm going to solve for y to put both lines into point slope formula. If I solve this for y, I get that y is -1/2x plus 5/2. If I solve this one for y, I get that y is 2x minus 4. Now when looking at parallel and perpendicular, I don't care at all about the y-intercept. I look at the slope, -1/2 and 2. Those are negative reciprocals of each other. So this pair of lines is perpendicular.